What's up, y'all? This is Mr. Richard with our 10th episode of I'm So Beastly. If you've listened to all 10, thank you. Welcome back. Well, check that 9 plus this one. Thank you. Welcome back. Um, we're going to start off by saying, of course, this is episode 10, so we have 124 more episodes. As of recording this episode, we still have uh, 24 subscribers on YouTube and 9 followers on Spotify. So together, that is 33 people. And the vision told us by episode 134, we would have 1 million subscribers slash followers. So, we're working towards it. Word of mouth is great. So if you like it, share it, tell people, let's rock it, let's build it, let's keep it going. If you want to be a guest on here, by all means, come. Shoot me a message. I'll invite you on a Zoom and we'll get chatting. Uh, all right. Also, my the link to my book, Winston Feathersby, I'll let you know how it goes, and my other book, Dream Journal, they are both in the description below. So in the last episode about fasting, I said I was going to look into my notebook, my spiritual notebook of different things I've looked up. Some have been my experience personally, and others have been things I've just done research on. But today we're doing an episode on something that I have done both research and personal experience, and that would be meditation. Okay, I speak on meditation all the time. I'm a huge fan, huge advocate of meditation. I have personally seen a massive positive influence from meditation in my own life. And it's something it's very simple to do. The act is very simple, but actually going through it can be daunting because of what you may experience. But the benefits are there. There's a plethora. Okay, I don't know where I was going with that. There's a ton of benefits for meditation. And so we're going to go through a few of those, and I'm going to give you some experience of mine that kind of relates to some of these. Okay, but and I have multiple sources that I've gotten, um, multiple sources that I've gotten like what it can help with, but I'm just going to use my own experience for this because, like I said, I will, I'm not a huge regurgitator of information unless I've experienced it. And that's precisely why I'm going to regurgitate this piece of information from Buddha, and I'll paraphrase. He says, "Do not believe anything you hear unless you experience it yourself." Okay? He said, even if I say it to you, still question it and go look into it and research it, experience it for yourself. Basically, question everything. Okay? And so that is kind of this. Like I could tell these other aspects that I've, researched, but I have my own experience. And I feel like that would be the best way for me to, pass on the information to you. Okay? And no one's gonna force you to meditate. It's just if you have the information, you can take it and honestly take what I say and look into it yourself. It's not, you know, ev don't do anything unless you look into it yourself first, right? We should be questioning everything. We should be searching for knowledge. We should be trying to find the truth in everything, right? That's what we are meant to do. And so, having said that, right, little long-winded explanation of basically saying I'm just going to talk about my own experiences with meditation. Okay? First and foremost, meditation, it's simply just breathing in and out, right? Controlled breathing in and out, focused breathing in and out, um, in through the nose, out through the mouth, just over and over and over again. And what it really does is initially the first thing that you'll probably recognize that is happening. is that it reduces stress, right? If at any time, stress is just surrounding you, and this is something that I've seen in every single my own experience and every single other source I've looked up on meditation, reducing stress is in every single one of them. So it seems like, if nothing else, that is a major benefit. Okay. It can also enhance calmness. So for instance, if you have a big performance, or you're about to do a presentation, or you have a show, or you're just nervous about anything, you know, I would say do a something that's kin to meditation, which would be just a few simple deep breaths in and out, in through the nose, out through the mouth, right? Couple of those, bust off like three of those, you know, not even quick, just get three of them, push everything else away, and you will feel more calm in three deep breaths. Okay, it's not going to eliminate all the frustration or stress or whatever right away in three breaths, but you will increase your calmness. Okay? So that's another major uh benefit. There's also, this one is, to me, I mean, I've seen this elsewhere, but every time I meditate, I tend to understand something else. And it can be something tiny, or it can be something huge, right? This is typically where questions get answered. Okay, the brain is like a computer. So think about meditation as like going deep inside the the storage, and you're able to search for anything that is retained. Okay, and that, to me, that's how meditation is. It's anything that you have been asking or searching for. I mean, maybe storage isn't the best way to describe it, right? File cabinet of answers, I guess. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not expressing it properly. Um, but the fact of the matter is, it always answers some sort of question that I may have. And it could be something of a daily question. It could be some existential question. It could be, I mean, literally anything. It helps you understand, and it improves question, or it answers questions rather. Okay. The next thing I've experienced personally, and this is a huge one. This is a massive, massive one. And I've spoken on this. I believe I talked about it last episode, and I'll talk about it again because it's one of the most incredible things that I have ever done myself, or have ever witnessed, is that it can reduce chronic pain. All right. And if you haven't heard this, then, buckle up. So basically, I had chronic pain in my shoulder for 17 years straight, daily pain, right? Always feeling something, always hurting, always uncomfortable. Just It's just chronic pain. And I had heard about basically what the mind could do. I had heard about that it could heal, that it could, do things like that. And so I was like, okay, of course I decided to try it. So, and I had already been, meditating, so it wasn't like that was fresh to me. It's not like I did this the first time I meditated. I'm just going to tell you right now, that would be absolutely insane if you were able to do that. So don't expect a massive change the first time. It's like a muscle, right? You have to work it out. You have to practice it. It's like anything else to be good at it. And yes, you can be good at meditation, and you can be bad at meditation. Right, but that's nothing, that's no reason to stop. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Basically, my whole point in getting on that little tangent was to say, don't give up after the first time. It does get better, it does get easier, and it does become more beneficial. But anyway, so I got into a deep meditation, and I began to focus heavily all of my energy in me, around me, any energy that I could into my shoulder. And I did this for somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour, right? When you're deep in meditation, time, the time we know does not exist, right? You could be in meditation for 5 minutes and it feels like 50, or you can be in meditation for an hour and it feels like 5 minutes. I mean, I've been in a meditation for 13 minutes before and it felt like I was in there for 2 hours. Like it's it's that type of thing. So I have no idea how long I was actually in there for. I don't recall the time. This was like 2.5 years ago. And so I focused all this energy into my shoulder, and it got to the point where I couldn't move my arms anymore. I was sitting on the ground as I was doing it. I had to lay down. I didn't have enough energy left anywhere other than my shoulder to move, to hold myself up. Everything in me was in my shoulder at that moment. And I probably laid there motionless for this time. I know like it was about 30 minutes, so I'm assuming that the meditation was probably 30-ish minutes, maybe a little more. And when I was able to move again, I didn't have pain. I'm thinking like, okay, it just this is this one time thing. All right, cool. But then the next day I didn't have pain. And the next day, and the next day, and now 2.5 years later, I have not had daily pain. I have not felt any pain in my shoulder other than, use the normal ways you feel pain, but not just from waking up. I have not had daily pain at all in 2.5 years. And that came through meditation, through believing that the mind was able to do it, through understanding that meditation could get me to a point where I could do these things. So meditation might not directly reduce chronic pain or, do these things, but it gives us that playing field that, um, you know, it, we'll just call it that. It gives us the playing field for us to be able to perform the things we're capable of. And so to me, especially ever since that day, it has been something that I will never not talk about. Right. Then you have regulation of mood. So basically, just if it's going to calm you, if it's going to reduce stress, it's obviously going to help you regulate your mood. You're not going to be as angry, um, potentially not as sad if you're able to bring yourself to meditate in that instance. So it's just gonna regulate. It's gonna balance you out a little more, right? One thing that I found is going to increase your spirituality, right? Before I meditated, I never looked inside myself. I never did self-reflection. I never did any of that. And then you start meditating, and that's really where it all begins. You start to see things you never thought you would see. You start to experience things you never thought you'd experience because you didn't know what they were. You didn't know anything about them, good, bad, ugly, whatever, right? They just weren't there. They just weren't a thing that you ever considered. And so then through meditation, that spirituality increases and you start asking more questions, and then it just snowballs. And I mean, I guess spirituality just depends on your viewpoint, right? Perception is reality. So it just depends on you. But in my perspective, meditation increased my spirituality. I became a totally different person. My viewpoint changed, my perspective changed, basically same thing, whatever. So meditation completely changed me as a person, I would say, which kind of plays into improved self-awareness. This kind of all goes the same. Strengthens the mind. I would say yes, absolutely. Without meditation, I would not be as mentally strong as I am today. And I mean, mind you, this is relative to where I was in the past. So it has improved um, my self-discipline and something. I mean, obviously, I'm still working on it in some things. That's why I'm doing this fast. But honestly, I wouldn't be able to fast if I had never meditated. I wouldn't even think anything of it. I wouldn't think twice about fasting if I hadn't been meditating because I wouldn't be on the path that I'm on right now. I honestly, I wouldn't have this podcast if I hadn't started meditating. right? It changed my whole viewpoint and it made me want to put this stuff that I find that I experience out into the universe and, and put it in front of y'all and you can do with it what you please. But so meditation, it strengthens the mind. I guess, you know, it yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. It just strengthens the mind. Another one, it definitely improves patience. Okay. It has improved my patience greatly. And that, it's not the only thing that I'm doing to work on patience over the years. But it has made it much easier because it puts things into perspective as well. Like, it when you're meditating, nothing else matters. And then you start to realize that nothing else matters. And it's just hard it's hard to explain. And then you just become more patient because you just don't care about the same things in the same way. And so being more patient just becomes easier, I guess is the best way to put it. So meditation can improve patience. It can reduce anger, which plays along with the things that I've stated above. It can control heart rate, which comes, kind of plays into increases calmness. This one is interesting. So I've been on I don't, something like a treadmill, but it's the one where you're like gliding. And I can't think of what it's called, but I would be going on that. Even a stationary bike. I mean, really any of those cardio machines at the gym. I would be doing these cardio machines, and I would always check my heart rate. And as I'm doing them, because I know nothing's wrong, I'll, just hold on to it. I would meditate as I'm doing the cardio, and it would keep my heart rate down. It would keep my heart rate well below where it should have been had I, you know, given that I was doing this cardio, I was exerting this energy. I actually reduced my heart rate at points. Like it would get up to a certain amount and I would start to meditate and it would reduce even though I'm continuing to do the cardio. So I know the power that the mind has, and I know that it starts with meditation. It starts with yourself, of course, but the the act of meditation is kind of where everything is created. I have seen other dimensions to an extent through meditation. I won't get deep into that. It's a very interesting one. I'm sure I'll do another podcast on that. Um, Something of along those lines, my experience with all that. But as of right now, that is something that it can get into. Um, you know, and then the next thing is understanding a presence of a higher power. Um, I will not get necessarily into that in this episode because it can be a long-winded topic. Uh, but through meditation, first I started with ETs, right? Seeing the ETs. But through ETs kind of brought me into consistent meditation, oddly enough. You know, um, but then that all made me realize more about a higher power. So meditation really changed everything about how I viewed things. And then, of course, it can raise your vibration and your frequency, right? According to Albert Einstein, everything in life is vibrations, and this is me now speaking. Meditation is a way to raise your vibration, right? So it can make you do life better, essentially, right? The higher the vibration, the better. So and those are my experiences. There are more things that meditation can provide. However, I only speak on the things that I have directly experienced, and I know there's some other things I've experienced as well that I just, forgot about or just didn't mention. But meditation is an amazing tool for self-improvement, for self-reflection, and to just, if nothing else, it will reduce stress. And that is a I think if people would just meditate, even once a week, right? 5 minutes a week start out and then it gradually increase. It just if you reduce your stress, then everything else just becomes less intense. It's like we're camping, intense. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Everything just becomes less intense, you know? It's just, I can't speak enough on the benefits of meditation. I guess it's hard for me to fully explain it unless you've done it yourself and can understand what I'm meaning because it is a foreign concept to the vast majority of society, and I understand that. But it should be well accepted, and everybody should try it. And I think we would be a much happier civilization if everybody was, you know, not constantly, but if everybody was consistently meditating, if everybody added meditation in their life, I think things would immediately improve. But that's just this old boy's opinion. You know, it's obviously okay if you don't agree with me. That's honestly perfectly fine. And you know, but I'll always, like I said, you know, I'm saying all this. If you're questioning it, if you're thinking about it, please do the research. Please look it up for yourself. Please come to your own conclusions and please try to experience it for yourself. Do not take my word for it, right? Use it as a jumping off point and then, you know, find what works for you, right? But that's all I have for you. This has been I'm So Beastly. I'm Mr. Richard, and we're going to start ending every episode with a You are so beastly, right? I am so beastly. You are so beastly. We are so beastly. All right? Stay beastly, y'all.